Okay, great. So good afternoon, all of you, and thank you so much for joining the LinkedIn Live session today. This session is being hosted by Yugma Campus to Career. I'm Sanjiv Tripathi, co-founder and chief operating officer of VMentor.ai and Yugma.ai. I welcome you to this session. My co-host Ravi Ramanathan, who is our senior mentor and a technology and AI expert, who is going to deliver the key session today. So let me briefly talk about us, we mentor and Yugma, especially for all of you who have maybe attending for the first time or have come across about us recently. So as a 6-year-old startup, we are solving two problems at scale. As we mentor, we work with corporates, the large corporates, mid-size companies, solving their strategic problems, looking mostly from their capability building perspective and capacity building perspective. So how do we really help you scale up in a strategic manner aligned with your vision, mission, goals, and help build your capability and capacity through various interventions of training, coaching, and various other academies that we build on various functions. So that's what we do on the vMentor side. Yugma, it kind of works on the other side of the talent spectrum. We work with the management and engineering colleges to make sure that we are training the students who are getting into their professional careers by getting them placement ready, job ready, and career ready. Okay, so you can see that there's a complementary approach that we mentor and Yugma has. Let me share a few slides with you to talk about who we are and what we do. Our mission is to touch the lives of 500,000 learners by 2030. And this means that we are working both on the corporate side, training, coaching, and mentoring, as well as on the college side. Um, and we kind of partner with a large number of organizations in this whole journey, founded by several CXOs who bring 25 to 30 years of experience individually. We collectively bring more than 200 person years of experience setting up with the organization. And, in terms of some of our top partners, NASCOM, as you know, the overall IT and ITES and services organization which is helping the whole industry at a pan-India level. We partner with Retailer Association of India. This association works with all the large retail companies, the mid-sized retail companies, small retail companies, and there are a number of partners with whom we are working to build this whole ecosystem. We also have our Section 8 company called Yugma Employability Foundation, not for profit, focused more on training and mentoring those students who come from economically weaker section but are talented enough to kind of to be trained for their corporate careers. So we focus on them for them for them to get ready for their corporate careers. Now if you look at our ecosystem working with a university, we focus right from talking to faculties and delivering faculty development programs, to working with colleges on management development programs. Of course, at the heart of our work is students. The new talent which is going to get into corporates. How do we train them so that they are better employable? And when they join companies, they are able to have transferable skills which will be utilized, when working and delivering for the corporates. We also support on internships, helping on placements, research, and making sure that we also kind of connect with the alumni network of the university and colleges. So overall, through variety of programs, we provide end-to-end support for universities and colleges. Some of the numbers to share with you, we worked across more than 250 institutions over the last 6 years, 60 plus corporations. We would have delivered, now it's like counting 35,000 plus students. And all the programs that we deliver are now copyrighted with Government of India. So 35 plus copyrights have been filed. And what are some of the parameters, metrics that you can look at in terms of how we service our end customers? We target to get more conversions in terms of placement. in college. So let's say there are 50 companies coming and hiring only 70 students. We look at converting from 70 to 100 to 150. So there is we have seen 25 to 30% higher conversion rate over the last few years with the colleges we work with. We have seen improvement in the CTC being offered, and we have seen improvement in the nature of roles that our students get into. High-end roles of consulting, GCCs, management trainees, and things like that. We regularly take feedback, and we have seen that our mentors have been getting very good feedbacks, upward of 4.5. We in fact averaging 4.7 over the last few years. So how do we deliver this? The strength of our platform is our mentors. So we've got about 400 mentors who bring in 15 to 40 years of corporate experience, many of them CXOs in their own functions, in their own divisions, and they are experts in their own field. The beauty of our setup is that the same mentor may be working with the corporate to deliver some of the consulting projects, some of those capability building and capacity building projects with corporates. And with the same experience, the mentor comes in the college to deliver for the students. So our students get the real-time experience from corporates, and they actually get to know what's changing in the corporate, what's improving in the corporate, what are the new expectations that corporations have. Now, as part of this, this year in the beginning, we did a research with more than 250 students, about 50 odd faculties and directors and deans, and about 50 corporate hiring managers and HR heads and CHROs to understand what are some of their expectations from our students. And one thing that came out very strong was that lack of ability to capture new skills or build skills by our students. Especially certifications came up big way, where a lot of colleges offer 5 to 7 certifications, but during the interviews, corporates have found that students are not getting the kind of practical experience, the kind of experiential learning, the kind of peer learning required, so that they are able to build on their skills, they are able to enhance their skills. And certifications have more or less becoming a tick in the box to just kind of a showcase on the CVs. Keeping that in mind, Yugma has now launched Yugma certifications. And one such certification we are going to talk about today. We very proudly, I can share that we have partnered with NASSCOM on their digital skills platform, where one of our certifications, prompt engineering with applied AI, has now been listed, and there are more certifications coming in there. And today we are going to talk about our experience of how we are working with some of the corporates and some of the institutions to deliver this kind of a program and help build this whole new age technology experience, both at the corporate level as well as at the college level. From my own experience, if I talk about myself, I've worked with companies like Tata Steel, then working with a software services company, 2 global banks. Use of information and analysis of information has always been a challenge. I remember during my last 2 stints as the head of risk management, I always had the challenge of, you know, um, how do I really analyze some of the new regulations that keep coming from various regulatory bodies. In my past, I've worked with the Singapore Regulatory Authority, the HKMA, in the Hong Kong, with US regulators, European regulators, and the big challenge is those thick number of pages of regulations. How do you analyze? Reading through all the changes that come up, and how do you compare that with your own company policy and see what real changes are required, what actions can you take. And I think when I've applied my own learnings in prompt engineering, I know that by writing a prompt, it helps me not only go through those number of pages of regulations, but it actually helps me understand some of those comparison gaps, understanding what actions should I be taking in a very short period of time. And obviously there's so much of automation we can do, and so much of future actions we can take this whole prompt engineering process. That's where we thought that we will be talking about some of those use cases, both from a corporate function perspective as well as the specialization that students in the management colleges and engineering colleges go through. So with that very brief background, I'm going to hand over, to Ravi Ramanathan, our senior mentor, who will actually take us through the today's session, and he'll talk about prompt engineering, his experience of new age technology implementation, and how he has seen this evolving and the application of prompt engineering. Thank you so much. I hand over to Ravi Ramanathan for the next set of sessions. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Sanjiv. Okay, so welcome to this program on prompt engineering. This is actually an excerpt of a 15-hour program that Sanjiv explained to you. So in the next 35 minutes, I'll take you through what we plan to do. But this is going to be a part of what is actually given in the online and instructor-led program for about 15 hours. So what I will do now is I'll just dive straight into the program and share my screen. Right? Can you all see it?
Yeah.
Excellent. So fundamentals of prompt engineering with which will unlock the power of language. Ultimately, prompting is all about communication. So we'll see how that works in our day-to-day interaction with artificial intelligence. I'm sure most of you, if not all, have relied on responses from ChatGPT or Gemini, Perplexity, any such AI assistants. They're actually called assistants for your day-to-day research or simple content creation or even some messaging. Sometimes a lot of people use it for making their CVs, writing their LinkedIn profile, or even making presentation where you use Gemma or AI PPT. They're all tools that helps you build without you having to put in too much effort. But that's a wrong thought process, because without your effort, whatever you get from the AI assistant is not going to be complete. So we will see how that works. And prompting is the language, or is the way that we communicate with these AI assistants. So what are the objectives? To equip learners with foundational skills in prompt engineering, enabling them to craft precise, context-aware prompts that unlock meaningful role-specific AI responses across industry. Give a thought to that term, role-specific. A data that we will use to show you example uh, can be interpreted by a marketing person differently, from a finance person differently, from a CEO differently, from an operations person differently, but all of them culminate towards the same parameters an organization puts in to make that organization successful. So what will you do? Understand the fundamentals of prompt engineering, learn how to craft clear and context-sensitive prompts, explore the impact of prompt structure on AI responses. You're going to get what you actually specify. Discover role-based prompting using personas, experience real-world use cases across industry, and build confidence in communicating effectively with AI. Now, there's no problems at all. What we're going to do is it's going to be slightly compressed because I'm going to be spending just about 35 minutes. But remember, your words shape the machine. Let's learn to speak with precision. That's the theme for this particular session. So let's start with a story. A finance manager in a company, XYZ Co., if you may, needed to analyze quarterly performance data for a board presentation. And she initially said she uploaded her last quarter's performance data set and asked ChatGPT, analyze my data. No brainer, right? It's an AI. It is supposed to understand what the data set contains, and it should use its own knowledge and analyze the data and present information to you, which is not going to be in any way wrong, notwithstanding the biases and some wrong calculation, which we need to account for. But most of the time, you get some nearly 80% of the information given to you is right. But is that what you want? A generic response that wasted some 20 minutes of your time. 20 minutes is a lot of time, right? If you just write a prompt and that doesn't give you the kind of granular information that you want. This won't do. She needed more and specific points for her report and presentation. So she refines that prompt. The prompt is, she tells the AI assistant, first, act as a senior financial analyst. Okay, that means this assistant is going to look at it from a financial perspective. Using the attached Q3 performance data, create a board level summary focusing on revenue growth. Now she tells it very clearly. What should you focus on? Revenue growth, margin variances, and regional trends. Format as bullet point. Now she tells the AI assistant how to present the insight. So she says, format this as bullet points. Limit to 300 words, not more than that, because my senior executives do not have the attention span. Now the time. Highlight top 3 concerns requiring immediate action. If you notice, this particular prompt has so many elements. What exactly do you want from it? Then how you should give me the results, and then help me analyze and arrive at 3 concerns that require immediate attention. Equipped with this, what she will do is that she will prepare a presentation. If you're going to leave the AI assistant to prepare the entire presentation for you, then you're on the wrong road to success. Use AI as a tool, not as a replacement for an expert. So a presentation ready summary that saved 2 hours and impressed the board. That's what was the result. We will actually do an exercise toward the end of this session. The difference is prompt engineering, the art and science of crafting instructions that transform AI from a basic chatbot into a specialized business consultant. So even when consultant comes to our organization, what do? We take their insights from them, their recommendations, and then we form our own ideas, own decision, and then execute them. That is why when you look at a consultant, he or she will never give you a single response as a recommendation. They always gives you 2 or 3, and then say that you should choose what best suits you. And if you ask again, which should be best, then they might still go into some scenario planning, etc. But no consultant will say, use this. That is exactly, that part is left to you as the overall planners for your organization. Just as spreadsheet skills become non-negotiable for business role, prompt engineering is considered as a must-have skill in today's AI-enhanced business environment. While not great successes have been achieved by implementing AI globally by organizations, and hang on, there's a little bit of disturbance. I'll just close that. Durga Puja. So there's a huge amount of noise from the road. So what are the benefits? Speed. Well-crafted prompts can reduce analysis time from hours to minutes, which is something that we will experience again. Otherwise, it takes us a long time, even with a tool like Excel, for that matter. Even if you go to the analysis tab, or even if you get Copilot in, you're going to get into a little bit of time lag there. And then quality. Specific instruction yield professional grade outputs. There's no ambiguity, and there is clarity. And the data that you supply for this kind of an analysis is clean and correct. And then you will not get a lot of errors. Still, you can expect some 20 or 30% of error due to bias or misinterpretation or hallucination. That only happens with very large data sets. Consistency. Good prompts create repeatable processes. I will show you. I created a prompt library for similar kinds of prompt. All I have to do is change some small words here and there. When we do the exercise, I'll show you that. And then once you understand the art of prompting, it is easy for you to create a prompt library which you can literally use. And then these consistency in the way you ask question. And if you use one AI assistant, whether it's Gemini or it's Copilot or you have ChatGPT in a subscription mode, it learns your preferences and it stores that in its memory. So next time you don't have to give a lot of syntaxes. All you have to say, this is how I like it. There is the consistency there. And then, of course, competitive advantage. Even though many large organizations have not been able to climb up on the rooftops and shout, saying that AI has given me so much, individual performances, those who are using AI as a tool, have skyrocketed much, much more than what a person who does not know how to use an AI as a tool. So that gives you a competitive advantage. So let's consider a few examples to elucidate. These are published examples, so I can take the name of the company. Morgan Stanley, their AI assistants help their own people, 25,000 plus wealth managers, access vast knowledge bases instantly on context sensitive. All they have to do is just give a simple prompt. JP Morgan uses AI for fraud detection. And the current statement that they have made is that it is 80% fewer false positives. It may say that there is a risk here, but there won't be a risk. That is why it's called a false positive. So 80% of them are fewer false positive. And then Deloitte Prompt Engineering helps consultants create client-ready analysis in fraction of the traditional time that they take. The pattern? Success comes not from the AI itself, but from knowing how to communicate with it precisely. That is why how you communicate with an AI assistant is extremely important if you are to get the result that you expect to get. Prompt engineering is just not for personal use of prompt that we saw in XYZ company case earlier. It is also for organization underpin scalable, repeatable AI solution for many end users. Majority of times when you use your chatbot, like for any bank chatbot or any other site chatbot, for us, we only see the responses. But for the chatbot to give you those responses, there are inbuilt prompt in their software. And that will help the chatbot to respond correctly to you. We'll explain that to you. Let's consider a couple of real-world examples. In a healthcare AI-powered patient support case, a leading hospital chain deployed an AI chatbot to assist patients with appointment scheduling, answer health queries, and multitudes of symptoms, health symptoms. The prompt engineering role here, while they built this customer interaction software, the chatbot, is carefully constructed prompts ensure that the chatbot could ask screening questions. When you say you have headache, is it all over? Or is it on one side of your head? When you say you have headache, does it also translate down to your neck? So these kind of questions, screening question, offer empathetic responses rather than being blunt, and deliver specific instruction without providing medical advice because they are not doctors. That only doctors could offer. This is how the prompt has been synthesized or created for within the application usage. The impact? The hospital increased patient satisfaction by 30% and reduced service desk workload by 40%. There's actually a company in Boulder, Colorado, but we can't take the name. But they have achieved quite a good success in implementing AI. A customer service automated multilingual support case. Global businesses use multilingual chatbots to handle support tickets and customer queries around the clock. Most of you would know that most of the support queries are standard one. Nearly 80% of all the queries customers ask can be found in the FAQ. Just about 20% of them are something that requires additional input. Prompt engineering role here is prompt specify tone guidance for clarifying queries, escalation rules. If a particular chat becomes necessary, that the content of the chat become necessary, it should know how to flag a human to come and answer, and responses tailored to local cultures and languages. Because it's multilingual chatbot. The impact? 24/7 customer coverage, reduce wait times, and increase first contact resolution rates. This is for a retail company that we took this example from. Then let's differentiate between organizational prompt and personal prompt. Organizational prompt, this is developed by organization to automate, personalize, or optimize how AI systems serve end customer at scale, or even internal people when they ask, like in the Deloitte case, where they ask for information during consulting. Then usage is embedded into the products, chatbots, or back-end workflows, often as part of software development or business process automation. Your Siri and Alexa will also have these kind of prompts embedded within them, how they have to respond to a query from a customer or a command from a customer or a user. The design process is carefully engineered, tested, and iterated to ensure reliability, compliance, and consistent quality. Now, pay attention to this. When you write your prompt, you're going to write exactly this way. These prompts will be tested, you iterate it correctly, and then you ensure reliability. For that, you have to give the correct questions, parameters, and you need to comply to the ethical ground rules. End user, the organization, external users, or some internal people interact with the AI solution often without knowing there is a prompt under the hood. When you look at the personal prompt, written by individual users like me, and like you, to directly interact with AI tools. All of these, ChatGPT, Cloud, this is Anthropic Cloud, Perplexity, Gemini, they're all AI assistants, right? They work on the basis of a backend LLM, that is a large language model, which contains the data. And the principle is a generative pre-trained transformer. That is why it's called a GPT. So existing data, that which is a knowledge base, and then they have algorithms to resolve your query, search that data, and transform the response exactly the way you want it to be seen. Okay, that's why it's called a LLM-based GPT. And there are multiple models, reasoning models involved in that, which is beyond the scope of this lecture, but we will take it up in the main course. For unique one-off needs such as research, analysis, brainstorming, content creation, strategic guidance, also analytics. In fact, Anthropic Cloud is very good in analytics of late. And so does Gemini, does some mean analysis, analytics for you, provided you give it the right kind of data. Usage entered in real time, often as free-form questions. This is natural language. So we have a technology, as you know, natural language processing. That's exactly how it goes into these English texts, the conversational prompts, and then resolves it, requests an instruction. Crafted to extract insights, automate routine tasks, create drafts, or perform business analysis, often tailored to a specific situation or question. I'll show you prompt examples for that. The end user, business professional, analyst, educator, or student seeking tailored high-value output from an assistant. Now, there are specialized chat systems or AI assistant for academic research. So a researcher, instead of having to go through some 20 odd papers in full detail, can say this is the area that they're researching for, and please use credible sources only. This research bot will completely summarize multiple pages, and then it'll merge the information and give you a synopsis plus its own viewpoint. The only problem that we need to understand is that this is for research purpose only. Then you're going to use that and write your papers on your own. Yeah. So I'm rushing. So if you have a question, please put it on the chat system and we will answer that. I'll give you 10 odd minutes in the end. Let's take a framework. This framework is called CLEAR. Mini framework. There's a STAR framework. This CLEAR is easy. So I took that up today. So it talks about setting the stage, which is actually define the context. Then length, specify the output size. You want 2 pages, 1 page, 300 words, like that lady from XYZ company did. Then show it how you want the the result should be. Examples. Then define the task precisely. And then role, assign AI a specific persona. Act like a CFO, act like a data analyst, act like a CMO, act like a developer, act like a production executive, act like a quality control executive. So that is the role that you assign. And then your response would be very contextual, completely synced to what you want to get done. Yeah. Context, setting the business stage. Weak prompt, write about market trends. Here, this is what market trend? You need to give something more than just say write about market trends, right? Strong context. I am preparing for a quarterly business review with senior leadership at a mid-sized manufacturing company. Our main concerns are supply chain disruptions and rising material costs affecting our Q4 projection. Even this, you need to be specific. What manufacturing company? Soap manufacturing company or paints manufacturing company? So I should have written there, mid-sized, let's say automobile component manufacturing company. I should have written that. I did not write that. Why this work? Context gives AI the business backdrop it needs to provide relevant, actionable insights. So finance example, instead of just calculate ROI. Try as a financial analyst evaluating a $2 million software implementation for a 500-person company. Help me calculate return on investment. Considering what are you going to consider? Implementation cost, training expenses, and productivity gains. And the implementation cost, you can further say the licensing cost, right? You can add other stuff and productivity gains over 3 years because you're talking about ROI, return on investment. So this prompt makes it very clear to the AI system to deliver the right kind of results that you want. Length. Leaders have very limited attention span. Specify exactly what you need. Summarize in 3 bullet points. Create a one-page executive summary. Provide a 30-second elevator pitch. Elevator pitch? You talk about your company in 30 seconds flat. If you can't do that, which probably is the time that takes from ground floor to reach your office or your customer's office or your potential customer's office when you're together in an elevator. So the 30-second elevator pitch is what the time that you get to talk about your company, why they should go with you. Generate a 500-word analysis. For an example, analyze the loan application risk assessment and provide a 5-sentence recommendation for the credit committee focusing on debt to income ratio, collateral value, and repayment history. This actually tells the system that I only need this. I don't need additional fluff. Examples? Tell it how you want to see. Write quarterly variance analysis in this format. Revenue, $2.3 million, actual versus 2.1 million budget. That means we exceeded the budget by 9.5%. That's the variance. Then you talk about key drivers. New client acquisition exceeded forecast by 3 accounts. Risk factor, Q1 pipeline looks right. Recommend accelerating sales activities. When it says Q1 pipeline looks light, that it's actually searching from your CRM, if you really look at it. So these are something that are hidden from you. But it's going to give you this, if you tell it this how I want it. That is, in a customer service example, handle customer complaints using this tone. You'll say, I understand your frustration with the delayed shipment. Let me track your order immediately and provide you with a specific timeline and expedited shipping at no charge. Now, this is so positive. It not only says that I'm going to act on it, but I will also do something else. I will expedite the shipment at no extra cost for you. But it is also important to specify how not to answer. No cliches. Avoid, sorry for the inconvenience. You don't need to apologize. We will investigate it. Now, there is no resolution there, neither here nor there. So you should resonate with them because you do not know the reason for the delayed shipment. So this is how you train your, this is also a training for your LLM or your chat assistant. Action. Give clear business directives in your prompt. Help with budget planning. What budget? Create a monthly budget template for a small consulting firm including revenue projections, fixed costs, variable expenses, and cash flow forecasting with 15% contingency planning. That's a stretch budget. Analyze, instead of analyze competition, say, compare our pricing policy against top 3 competitors in the regional market, identify our advantages and vulnerabilities, and recommend 2 specific positioning adjustment. How do we position it? Is it by a demography, or is it by the market, or is it by any other price? How do I position it? 2 specific positioning adjustment. And finally, the role. We talked about it earlier. Act as a senior financial analyst with 10 years of banking experience. This is interesting. I added this 10 years of banking experience. So he's not one with like 40 years of experience. So with 10 years of banking experience, you should know about the bank, how it functions, right? So that is what you're going to do. Take the role of a risk management consultant. The moment you say risk management consultant, it means that he could be a He could be an operation risk consultant. He could be a market risk consultant. He could be a system risk consultant, or he could be or she could be a credit risk consultant, an operational risk consultant. So this makes a lot of difference. The moment you say risk management consultant, depending on your prompt, it will play the role of that kind of a risk consultant. And the moment you say management, it means predicting of risk also. So the chatbot will respond accordingly. Function as a business development director and operate as a customer success manager. This is an example. Now look at this. Act as a senior business consultant with expertise in financial analysis. Context, a mid-market software as a service company needs to evaluate whether to expand into European market. Normally, you need to give a lot more information for this. But then just for an example, I'm giving you this particular stuff. Analyze market entry strategies considering regulatory requirement. One of the main regulatory requirement is GDPR. Your fines can be anywhere between 200,000 euros to all the way up to 1.5 million euros. You breach the GDPR. Competitive landscape, who all are there? And resource allocation. What do I need for this? It's not just people, right? It's actually plant and machinery, and other marketing and other resources. So how do you want it? Role. How do you want it? Because if you remember in Clear, we have the L part. Because we already had the CAL, and the E is the explanation which we are giving him here. Provide a two-page summary with clear go, no-go recommendation. This is scary. Analyze the market entry strategies considering regulatory requirement, competitive landscape, and resource allocation. So it gives you analysis, information, and insight. But in the end, what are you saying? You're saying that understand your own insights and recommend a go, no go situation. Now, this prompt, even though it looks nice, requires a little bit more information. You need to talk about your company. Even though you say SaaS company, SaaS is multi-pronged. What are you going to do? So this is an example. Now that you've mastered Clear, let's explore the advanced technique that separate prompt engineering. How am I doing, Ria? On time? Okay, this we'll just breeze through, okay? So let's do using prompt personas, chain of thought prompting, few-shot learning, and role-based iteration. So prompt persona, actually you're giving it a persona. This technique pairs beautifully with chain of thought and scenario-based prompting, especially when demonstrating business application. So sales data analysis, consider a data set with monthly sales costs, etc. And output highlights, prioritize growth metrics over raw sales. If you notice, you're a regional sales director. He's not interested or she's not interested in raw sales information. Then if you look at complex business analysis is for the chain of thought, where you go one after the other. I will show you by demonstration. First, analyze the customer acquisition cost, then evaluate customer lifetime value changes, CLV or CLTV, and next calculate the ROI impact, and then finally recommend the budget allocation adjustment. If you look at this, this is how the entire construct for chain of thought happens. So here, scenario, you're analyzing quarterly sales data. You're giving prompt. You are a business analyst. Here is a simplified data set. Q1, north is so much, south is so much. Q2, north is so much, south is so much. Step through your reasoning to determine which region had the highest growth rate, first one. What might explain the second one trend? Suggest one strategic action for Q3. Show your reasoning step by step. Here I have not showed you the reasoning, but I've given you the reasoning is interesting, but it will take 10 slides for that. Calculate growth rate. It's actually said 25% growth, 35% growth. Compare and interpret. Although both regions grew by 3.3 million, South had a higher percentage growth. This may indicate stronger demand for better conversion strategy in South. And then it recommends an action. By Q3, North should analyze South's campaign tactic and consider reallocating budget towards high-performing channels. You may not use this action, but it's giving you some input. Few shot. This is like prompting involves giving AI few examples of the task you wanted to perform right inside the prompt. I'll just give you one example. Create client meeting summaries in this format. Meeting 1. Client ABC, budget discussion, key point, budget approval, budget approved, next step. Similarly, for client XYZ, now summarize today's meeting with client DEF. This is exactly what you do. It improves consistency and accuracy, especially for classification, translation, or structured output. So role-based and roles. One is prompt personas and role-based iteration. The main thing is you assign a specific role or identity to the AI. Here, repeat the same task across multiple roles. That's why there is a difference between personas and role-based iteration. The purpose for role-based iteration will be compare how different roles interpret the same task or same request. You are a CFO, summarize this report. Summarize this report as a CFO, then as a CMO, then as a CEO. Same report, okay? So we use it when we need multiple views instead of writing this same personas in multiple times on the chat box. Use case is deep dive into one domain's logic. This is a cross-functional analysis or stakeholder mapping. That's why you use role-based iteration. Let's do a business case, which I'm going to show as an example for you. A mid-sized decorative paints manufacturing company has asked you to analyze the performance over the last 2 years and last 3 years actually, and provide strategic recommendation. A basic sales and operational data set is available for you to use. You're expected to analyze the data set to arrive at performance insights using an AI assistant. What will be the actions we'll perform? We will use an AI assistant for this task. I think I'll use a Gemini here. We will build a prompt based on our learning so far. We'll build multiple prompts. Compare a simple prompt with a detailed prompt and compare results, okay? So this is the data. We have liters sold, the total gross sales financial years 23, 24, 25, net sales, cost of goods sold, that is COGS, sales, general and administrative expenses. I've removed marketing separately, gross profit, operating income, gross margin, operating margin, and year-on-year growth. For those who have a bit of resolving the idea of operating profit or operating income is net sales minus the sum of COGS plus SGA plus marketing. So what happens is that is your operating cash flow, the operating income. And when you divide gross profit by net sales into 100, you get gross margin. And operating margin is operating income divided by net sales into 100 is your operating margin. Each of that gives you a bit of information about the execution capacity of your organization. CAGR, we do it for the period of 2 years, starting from 23 to 25. That's 2-year period, isn't it? And then year-on-year growth is looking good. Then we compare this with the paint industry performance in the market and the growth, how it has grown. So let's look at a demonstration, okay? I'm running. My apologies. So first, let us upload a data set. Are you able to see my Gemini screen?
Yes. We are
Okay,
able to.
thank you. Okay, now I have pre-prepared some fonts. Let me, from prompts, so let me get that prompt for you. It's easy. I told you about the prompt repository. Let's try a very simple font. Copy, then go here. Use the uploaded data set. This is a very simple prompt. There's no much information there. And you can see the kind of response you're going to get. Come on. Takes time. Okay. It says I was unable to do that. So let's go to another. We'll do that again. I was unable. Okay, no problem. Let's choose Copilot. Upload the data set. So you get this response. Paint industry growth summary. This is something that even you can do it. Okay, strategic insights outperform our outperformance in volume and revenue. But if you need a lot more granular, if you look at efficiency watch, it says operating income CAGR 19.89% lags behind net sales growth, etc. If you want slightly more detailed response, then we take a descriptive contextual prompt approach. Let's take this. In this, what I've said is act as a business strategy analyst, not a CFO. Review the 3 years of performance for our decorative paints division, including sales volume, net sales, margin, and operating income. Compare the company's CAGR margin trends and sales progression to the industry averages and market data. Project company sales, net profit, and gross margin for the next 3 years, assuming the industry growth rate holds constant and company marketing strategy remains unchanged. Finally, identify 2 main strengths and weaknesses versus industry peers and recommend 3 strategic initiatives and the market share. Let's do that. Did you see the speed with which it did that? So quick. So it gives you performance review, decorative paints division, 23, 24, 25, and then 3-year CAGR. It's actually 2-year CAGR because FY23 would be actually a base year, then 24, 25. So how is CAGR calculated? The final amount divided by the first amount into and raised to the power the number of years that you're calculating. So 1 divided by n. N is 2. That means 2 years. It's not 3 years. This is something that you need to look at. If you look at, it also tells you gross margin has come down by 71 basis points and 325 base points, right? Not basis point. Then industry benchmark and decorative paint, it's 16.4%. Then forward projections, if you look at, it is using projections now. How does it project? Based on the growth rate, assuming industry CAGR of 16.4%, unchanged marketing strategy. Unchanged marketing strategy. Remember that because I specified that. Finally, it does strategic diagnosis, then weaknesses, and then what are the initiatives that we can drive growth and market share. It says launch high margin decorative sub-brands, example, eco-friendly, textured, designer. It is assumed that we are not doing it because I have not given him that data. But it's wonderful to look at the thinking ability here. Then say digital channel expansion. There is no channels given, but it is trying to extrapolate what we can do. And cost optimization. But now let us do a quick chain of thought. How am I doing for time? Okay, we have got very little time. Let's do a chain of thought.
Any questions you guys can put in the question box, yeah?
Okay, now this is the chain of thought. Act as a financial analyst, review the performance data.csv file, and provide a year-over-year summary of sales volume. No brainer. It's going to do it. Bang. This is it. Over. Growth trends. And look at the way it is set it out. Very beautifully done. Simple. This is the entry code because I have given it a contextual The next what I'll do is I will take, we'll do a comparative analysis. In the comparative analysis, what we are doing, using the same data, compare our division CAGR in net sales and sales volume to the industry's decorative paint growth as shown in the file. Identify whether the company is outperforming or underperforming the market. Here, it doesn't require a very elaborate answer. It's going to give you a crisp, nice answer. CAGR comparison, there can't be a CAGR for the industry because they won't give you that kind of information other than for sales volume. But you will have net sales information you will have for the industry. So it's about 16.4%. That's the market size, how it's growing. And it says verdict is outperforming. And then it talks to you about strategic interpretation. And then I ask you, would you like a visual CAGR comparison chart or a simulation showing what market share you want? We'll take just one more, okay? Because we'll be running out of time. Let's take the strategy. Based on your financial analysis and the industry trends you have identified, what are the two main strengths and weaknesses of our company versus competitors? Recommend 3 strategic initiatives we can take to improve profitability and market share. Now, we haven't given competitor data here, which is actually not enough data. But still, if you notice, it gives you some fantastic input. Competitive positioning, strengths and weaknesses, your strength, superior revenue growth, more than the industry. So you take the industry as a whole as a competitor and then tells you what you can discern from what it says. And then it says volume leadership and market penetration. With a 27% CAGR in liters sold, your company is scaling faster than the peers, suggesting success in tier 2 and tier 3 market, rural outreach, or contractor loyalty program. We don't know that, but it says it's possible. Do deeper research. Weaknesses, margin compression. If you notice, the gross margin is decreasing, but the gross profit is increasing, but gross margin is decreasing. You have to understand that, why it is happening. And then lagging operating income. Strategic initiatives to improve profitability and market share. It gives you 1, 2, 3. And then it asks you, what else do you want me to do? So, essentially, this is what we wanted to demonstrate to you. And I need to stop sharing. Okay. So there is prompt engineering in a nutshell. So we're really happy AI interactions. That was quite a sprint. So much in such a short time.
A lot of details. Actually, you managed to share a lot of use cases, Ravi. Real practical examples of what some of our folks here, from an industry perspective, would be looking at. And the initial challenge I was talking about of looking at regulatory changes and how to analyze, you actually shown analyzing both qualitative and quantitative, and how progressive prompts, as you keep refining based on the role profile, competitive comparison, and and various other data that we can provide, that can really help refine the kind of quality of response totally changes, right, based on your requirements. So thank you so much, Ravi, for this beautiful session. I think really covered it very well and given an overall holistic view. Obviously, our certification covers a lot much detail. You will kind of come across new case studies. What are the use cases industry is using, and practical examples. A lot of activities will be done, mentored by supported by the mentor, and also we will have certain simulation examples and things like that as part of the certification. So I now open. We've got very limited time, I know, but Arya, are there any questions that we need to address? Any questions have come up? People on the call, I can still see a lot of you are still there. Iraf, Shashidhar, Mahavir. if you have any questions, you can please ask those questions. Thank you for your patience and listening to the whole session. If you have any questions, please shoot. Yeah, any questions on LinkedIn? If you can check, please.
No questions on LinkedIn, sir.
Good.
Can we unmute others so that they can ask if they want to ask any questions? I can see Sashidhar.
I think we have reached the end at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, so I think we have come to the end of the session. So thank you so much, all of you, for attending. I hope you have seen the value of the session on prompt engineering. You've seen how prompt is that powerful language which helps you use your AI assistant or the AI tool much more effectively to solve some of these challenging questions that you may face, how to analyze the data and how to get some output which will be useful, in your own professional journey. So thank you so much, Ravi, for this wonderful session. And I really look forward to you kind of delivering this 15-hour program when we actually launch it through our NASCOM program and we start delivering it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, team. Ruchika, Ria, Ayush, for setting this up. Thank you and see you in the next session. Thank you very much.
Bye. Take care.
Close the session.